Podcasting 2.0 for January 15th, 2021, episode 20. We are mapping the road. I love Fridays. Best day of the week. Not because I got a whole weekend off, never do, but that means we get to do another board meeting of Podcasting 2.0's podcastindex.org. I am Adam Curry in Austin, Texas. And somewhere there in Alabama, the man who can bake an endpoint that changes humanity before breakfast. Ladies and gentlemen, Dave Jones.
Crack the gavel. It's time for the board meeting.
That's right.
I like that. I like this because I'm in the future now too. Because you have always, you've always been from the future.
Wow.
But you've like grabbed me. You know how like what is it, like superheroes where it's like they can teleport and sometimes they'll grab somebody else. They'll teleport too.
I'm thinking more like Doc and Marty, but yeah, okay.
Okay. Yeah. Well, like you've given me future powers too. Now I feel like I'm from the future.
You are from the future, and we were in this future. I think several months ago, maybe even when we started this project, this adventure.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's like man, but like we could not have had better timing.
A headline. Maybe I should tell everybody what we prognosticated first. So it's not so easy to get people to change from using Spotify as a music app to a podcast app. And I think they're underestimating the power of the individually distributed podcast experiences. And they think they can capture that. And here is CNBC is where I got it from. Headline, Spotify's big bet on podcasts is failing, Citi says. And I'll just do the key points here. Spotify's multi-million-dollar bet on podcasting may not be working out, Citi analysts wrote in a note to clients on Friday.
I'm shocked.
Yeah, let's go down to... now, the article is a little skewed, the way they're kind of headlining this, because here's the actual quote. The cadence of premium gross additions, Q3 20, and app download data through Q4 of 2020 do not show any material benefit from recent podcast investments that began in 2019, the analyst wrote, and the firm downgraded the stock to sell from neutral. Now, the way they position that in this article is... let me see, they had like a weird... Yeah, Spotify's multi-million-dollar bet on podcasting may not be working out. Yeah, that's not exactly what they said, because the analyst didn't write that headline. But
right.
But what they're seeing is no, and this is really critical. This is how all the Silicon Valley companies are measured. You have your, I think it's monthly users.
Like daily active users,
yes,
monthly active users.
Yes, exactly. So DAUs, DMUs, or whatever. Yeah, MNUs. Yes, some bull crack number.
LMNOP.
Yeah, but also for Spotify, their premium, their customer needs to have the app, and so one is an increase in people downloading the app becomes an important metric for them.
Yeah.
Along with an increase in people signing up for premium service, or one would presume, although that's not mentioned that I can see, an increase in advertising revenue. They've misjudged this. And if not that what they're trying to do may not be possible, but you can't just do this in a year and say, okay, 4 quarters later, you're going to see the significant advance in people coming over to experience podcasting on our app. It has nothing to do. What they should have done is built a better app.
That is 100% true.
Yeah,
100%. Because like the problem with Spotify is it's a crappy app experience.
Yes,
like
yes.
It's even a crappy app experience for music. But like and the podcast app experience is way worse.
Yeah,
like if Spotify had taken $900 million or whatever it is they've spent so far, if they had taken that money and just gone out and like hired the best UI talent they could find, I mean, like they and forgot about exclusives and all this kind of jazz. If they'd just done that, like they would have had a killer experience.
Yes,
and
but
people would want to use the app.
But that still does not guarantee the dominance. Dominance comes from something else. And this is where I'm from the future, because I've always said this. It comes from, I don't even know if one single app can do it all. Everybody has different tastes. There is, in fact, room enough for everybody. I look at, just for whatever reason, Podfriend really works for me. And it's all in the interface and the features and the functions. So that works for me. I can use any of these other apps perfectly fine. I use PodStation in the studio because it's a perfect little browser extension. And it's exactly what I need for quick lookups, and it serves a whole different function. I partially use Hypercatcher because it has yet another set of functionality. So to be able to do all of that, I don't know. I have never seen any company really do it all and do it well. And I just think that there's a overestimation maybe on everybody's part that this market can be captured. I'll tell you one thing. Apple's probably thinking twice about their Podcast Plus experience where they're going to have premium content.
I hope they are. Yeah.
They're really missing the point here. Yes, content is king, but is it really? To me, I've always felt that the end user and the developers, they're the ones that determine everything. They determine the ultimate result. The question is how many layers of management and money crap is inserted between those two.
Well, a good example of that is the Pocket Casts. I don't know if you saw that story.
So yes, and I saw the discussion on noagendasocial.com. And
were they talking about it on No Agenda?
I'm sorry, podcastindex.social. Sorry, I've got too many communities in my life.
Yeah. And
they bleed over. So I saw it on the Mastodon, and I thought, it's a good app. It's totally a good app. It takes quite a bit to run the infrastructure. If you make, I've started up companies, and if you and I had to be paid to do this, already you can see how much money would go into it. It'd be 20-fold of what we've actually, even brought in on donations, and a higher multiple of what we've spent.
Well, I'm worth at least 600,000. Minimum.
So there's my other point. So we would be at a very, very low number, and then you need someone to be administration, someone to be CEO, and then someone to do this and that, and then before you know it, you have 12 people. You got $1 million payroll, and now, in fact, these days probably even less people will get to that number. And I don't exactly. I guess they were. I've not evaluated how they were making money or was it just pay? Was it advertising, data? I have no idea. But the future no longer has this monolithic lists. The idea that one podcast is the number one podcast in the world is ridiculous. It makes no difference. This podcast is supporting and quite a few listeners all the way down the line with the Podcast Index project, and it's just working. And look at how little hassle there is. It's a cooperative. This is a whole different way of thinking about business.
We went into this knowing that we were going to try to keep things expenses at the bare minimum until at least until we found out, okay, this is how much of a baseline that we can expect. So the whole index runs on $300 a month worth of hosting.
Yeah,
that's it. The whole thing. Now, if I could have as a planner, as an admin or whatever, if I could have everything I wanted, if I could have every server configuration that I wanted, you're looking at $500 a month, probably. If that's the case, then running a podcast app, even with a full back end and losing $2 million, that's just inexcusable to me. It's obviously a business problem. It's not a technology problem.
No, exactly.
It's clearly a management issue.
So, and we'll get to it later about,
let me throw one other thing.
Yeah, please.
Okay. So I think this also ties into another story, which is Podchaser supporting supporting exclusive Spotify podcasts on their platform. They got a $4 million funding round, and I super appreciate those guys with all their thing with the taxonomy project. I mean, they've given back to the community already, to the podcasting world already. But the issue there, though, is that there is way too much of this sort of VC exit strategy stuff going on. And, I don't know much about Podchasers, about them internally, but all I know is the guys I've talked to. And I just think this was a bad idea. Like, I don't think that it was wise for them to go and add support for Spotify exclusive shows on their platform. Like, it devalues the whole podcasting open ecosystem. Is either A, terrified of Spotify, or B, thinks that they're ruining it, like that they're making it worse. And so, Podchaser had a really good platform, has a really good platform. Their web property is great, and they're doing all the taxonomy stuff and doing crediting and all this sort of jazz. I just think that a move like that is going to lose you goodwill. I don't think anybody's going to care. Nobody's going to use that feature on the site, or not many people are going to use it to comment and that kind of thing. And there's the only reason I see that it could be something to do as part of your strategy is part of the VC play is you want that in order to attract some larger money. And I just don't, to me, there's too much VC in the podcasting space.
Having had experience with building companies on sales, building companies with elbow grease, and building them with venture capital money, if I were to guess what is going on here is whoever started this, it doesn't really matter. And I could be completely wrong, but this is how it feels to me. Great idea, having this type of information, IMDb for podcasts. Of course, that's totally cool. And they seem to want to interact, and to do something like this very well, and to do it as a company and not as a kind of open curated project, it's all very difficult, no doubt about it. You need to have people, and people need to be incentivized, and so they have to run money through it. And what is the ultimate business model? Well, if you're calling yourself the IMDb of podcasts, then you are automatically positioning yourself to be purchased as such, which is what the end result is, or one of the two end results desired by venture capital investment, either an IPO or being bought by a larger player. So it would appear to me this was and perhaps interestingly timed investment to be there when Spotify wants this additional information. Yeah,
and that's what it looks exactly like to me. And I just don't like imagine if, sure, there's lots of VC money everywhere. I mean, but imagine if any open. Imagine if TCP/IP all of a sudden had venture capital money going into companies that were going to figure out how to add things to it and monetize it. And like, there's just, on an open ecosystem, you're either in the open or you're not. And this hybrid approach where you say, well, we're going to either be, we want to do all the work in the open ecosystem, but we're also going to be pulling in, these other exclusive things. I mean, like, it just doesn't fit. It makes your product worse to me. And their product stood on its own.
But from an experiential, I've never used it, but why would I care if they also have Spotify stuff there? If I happen to use one show on Spotify, am I not happy that I can also get it over there? I mean, as an end user, I don't think that's a downside. It's where their focus is. That's what'll be important. Are they building something to be attractive to Spotify, or are they building something for something people want?
That's the question. To me, it's a goodwill issue. It really is just a goodwill issue.
Oh man, you're too far down south, Dave Jones. Well, people don't care about goodwill anymore.
Oh, okay. I'm just dead.
People have no loyalty. No, that's you and me, old school. No, that's not the kids.
Down here in Alabama with our sweet tea and our casseroles.
Well, I'll give you my example.
All right.
You built the people search endpoint, which is some kind of sorcery that you have baked in, and it is so incredibly effective and so beautiful. And you built something that people wanted, and even I didn't even really care about it, and it popped up, and I said, how did I live without this?
Yeah.
Truly, I was looking for the guy who wrote Bitcoin and Black America, Isaiah Jackson.
I don't know this guy.
Right, and so I just typed in Isaiah Jackson because I knew he was going to be on a podcast somewhere because I wanted to hear him speak. He wrote a book. And nothing on the regular podcast search, but I did the people search, and there's like boom, 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 6 episodes. Oh, there's one that he did with my buddy Gary Leland. Oh, I like him. Click, boom, and then I heard him mention his podcast, so I had the title, and it was all on a web app in the car.
let me there. Well, that ties back into the Pocket Cast, losing money thing, because that server that holds that index for the people search costs $10.
Yes, but you spent weeks and weeks and weeks thinking, conceptualizing, and ultimately building it.
Well, that's true. Yeah.
So value that in company time, and it's invaluable. Yeah,
I mean, if I bill it out at $1,500 an hour, that's a lot of money. Yeah, so I got that. No, that's just, but the infrastructure and everything you can run this stuff without all that. And I don't know. To me, it's inexcusable to look your investors in the face and say, we run a podcast app and we lost $2 million. Yeah. I mean, Jesus almighty. I mean, like most podcast app developers would be like, I dream
of having that kind of money.
Yeah.
But really, as you already said, you could buy more machines and a couple more things, but really, you just want that kind of money to put in the bank or in Bitcoin, or to spend a little bit on hookers and blow. That's really, I mean, what do you really need? And now I've been drinking the Kool-Aid on Bitcoin, like the truth of it all and what its possibilities are. And Signal is down, or was going up and down today.
That's an interesting thing, because I heard a lot of people talking about Signal as if the WhatsApp terms of service change was the reason everybody's diving into Signal. I don't think that's true at all. I think the reason of everybody's going into Signal is because of the deplatforming.
Well, it's a viral wave. It's a viral truth wave, and a lot of this is happening. If we have anything to thank President Trump for, besides the exposure of China, fake news and the tracking and what Silicon Valley is really doing. And, it's the scales fall slowly from people's eyes, but once the truth goes viral, and then so part of it they hear about, I mean, it's equally like where for many times, this is cyclical. And I haven't been on Facebook, or I'm not on Instagram, just Twitter, but Facebook would do the rounds. Oh, I'm posting this. This is a legal statement. You don't have the right to use my content, and under Section 3B of the law or whatever. And it's like something that someone said, you got to post this so that your content is protected from Facebook's terms of service. And millions and millions and millions of people will send this and shuttle it around. And so now the truth is out, and they were told, go to Signal. And part of it is Moxie appearing on the Joe Rogan show right just before this all happened. Part of it is people just having more awareness, and they flock over to something. And all the claims of Signal may be true. It may be completely safe, effective, anonymous, whatever. It's still centralized. This is the next step people have to understand. And like the index, there's so much you and I want to move away from us or have replicated for all the right reasons. And we'll get there. But it's an obvious weakness. But it's not as bad as a corporate entity. So there's doing the rounds now is matrix.org. Matrix.org is it's a protocol. I would categorize it as kind of a Mastodon for chat. And we've seen all kinds of different versions of this. And they may even have something on their own chain, but they still have some centralized API stuff. And ultimately, there's a company involved. When there's a company involved, it's with the best intentions. Stuff can just, go awry. Certainly if there's payroll, etc. That has to be paid from something. And so I'm always wary of that. And I've seen the alternative possibilities, and we're going to get to that. And I think podcasting can, interestingly enough, help people get to understanding that. I mean, we've all heard Web 3.0. It's all going to be on the blockchain.
Yeah, sure.
I've heard that a million times.
Yeah, and on the Signal thing, I had 5 people that, like 5 friends of mine that popped up on Signal in the last week. And these guys are not listening to Joe Rogan. They were never on WhatsApp. Mm-hmm. I know exactly why they popped up on there is because they saw the wave of deplatforming with the Parler stuff. We had Martin on the show last week. We didn't even talk really about any of the deplatforming stuff, right. But all the deplatforming that happened, all this, there was just this sort of shudder that went through everybody where they're like, oh crap, Apple took this app off the App Store and here's Spot and Amazon kicked them off AWS, and then Spotify removed another show, this Pete Evans show. Then it's like boom, 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 boom. All these series of things happened at once, and everybody is just like this shiver that went through, and then all of a sudden everybody's looking for an alternative to the main players, right? And may I theorize that when you see corporations do this, Apple, Spotify, but also there's been a lot of, certainly after January 6th, many big corporations have been virtue signaling that what they aren't going to do, and that people are dropping clients and lawyers are leaving. And this is all part of the cancel culture pressure system in which the mainstream media is complicit, but they're also trapped in it because it's all the same organizations. It's, why do people get deplatformed for saying hydroxychloroquine, which, just as an example, Anthony Fauci himself wrote a paper about how well it works against it. Why were videos taken down? Why are you not allowed to link to anything? Well, because the pharmaceutical companies are the biggest advertisers. The evil is not even in the people executing it. They have no choice. No choice. That's interesting because let me see if I can find this. I've got
the largest advertisers outside of the political cycle, which kind of doubles everything. There's another couple billion that flows in, is pharmaceutical and telecoms, Verizon, AT&T, T-Mobile. That's really your top right there. And then you get into financial services, insurance, credit, mortgages. But the number one, and we're unique in the United States, is pharmaceuticals.
Well, I think it's important to know that, or to remember that this is not new. Mm-mm. Like one of my favorite things to do anytime there's a big sort of event like this is to go and do a Google search for you do site nytimes.com, and then you get before a certain year, and then you give your search term. Oh. So you're going to get all the New York Times, all the results from the New York Times website before a certain year. And then like I put in freedom of speech, ACLU. Mm-hmm. And I got articles going way, way back. And so like 1989 is an article about how campuses are having to deal with this issue of speech, and how they were already in 1989 trying to figure out what they were going to do about harassment and these kinds of things. And this says one of these guys, I think this guy's from the ACLU, for the colleges not to deal with the racial prejudice on campus is an abdication of their responsibility in a free society, said Ira Glasser, executive of the American Civil Liberties Union. They've got to address those things, but not this way. both because it doesn't work and because it's incompatible with freedom of speech and religion. When you pass a rule which represses speech, you are avoiding dealing with the underlying problem, and you're passing a rule whose sweep is going to be broader than the things you're trying to contain. And the rule there was expulsion and that kind of thing for people who were found to have done racial slurs and that sort of deal.
And that was when?
1989, April 25th. So this is not new. The difference, though, it's not new. But what's different now is that millions of people have a voice in the public square that they never had then.
Well, a slight counter to that.
Okay.
After the Civil War, cities had, some of them had 1,000 they had 1,000 newspapers, even before and during the Civil War. And some were just a pamphlet. Not all were for profit, but people were publishing. It was a revolution, and people were publishing little newspapers. After the Civil War, they went from thousands per city to maybe 10, because those 10 that had, bigger readership, they said, well, those guys are a bunch of slaveholders.
Yeah.
It's the same thing. The technology's changed and made it so everybody is one of the publishers, because you are. Mm-hmm. You're publishing your opinion and sometimes fact and research and journalism. But just call someone racist, and it's good. That's our Achilles heel in America.
Well, that's I got a kick out of looking at, when I looked into the Pete Evans thing being delisted. I don't know anything about Pete Evans. I mean, they said they delisted him off Spotify because of saying false information about COVID or something like that. And so I just fire up Spotify, and I looked up, just typed in Pete Evans. Of course, he's gone. Mm-hmm. And then I type in New York Times Caliphate, and it's still on there, even though that entire series has been completely debunked. It was all a lie. Every bit of it was a lie. I think I sent you. Did you get my clips?
I did.
Okay. We talked about this. We talked about this when it first happened a few months ago. Gosh, this was back in September, I think, or something like that. And so the New York Times Caliphate, which was part of the Daily podcast, it was, I think, like a special report that lasted like a couple of months. They interviewed this guy from Canada who said that he went over and participated in terrorism with like ISIS or somebody.
Right.
And if you want to play the clip in there about the Caliphate, that'll just give everybody a sort of a glimpse of what that was.
The blood was it was warm. And it sprayed everywhere. And the guy was crying and screaming. He did not die after the first time. The second time or so, he probably just slunched over. That was...
How hard is it to put a knife into somebody?
It's hard. I had to stab him multiple times. And then we put him up on a cross. And I had to leave the dagger in his heart. And then there was a sign that said, it had a code on it. And like 166, drugs and alcohol type offense. Yeah.
Okay.
How did it feel?
It just, at the time, it just felt disgusting but numb at the same time, like gloomy-ish. I just instantly thought, I'm a psycho killer now. Like, what the hell did I just do? That night, I couldn't sleep at all. I stayed up all night. I got really sick again. I just kept thinking of the guy. I can still feel having my hand on his shoulder.
On his shoulder?
Yeah, just...
I see,
yeah, holding him. I was pushing him into the knife too. I could still feel that. I could, stabbing someone in the heart like that. I just kept replaying the hand action of my hand going there. I just kept thinking of different things. There was a rush of thoughts in my head. I stabbed him. The blood was just everywhere. What the hell did I just do? I'm a psycho killer now. I didn't give him a chance to repent. I stabbed him. If I die after doing something like this, how will I face God? No. What the hell did I just do? Then I started thinking of my family. What if they were here? What if that had to be my dad? You're basically killing your own parents in a way. Maybe that jihad that I'm doing right now is the wrong type of jihad. Maybe... No, this isn't it. This isn't the right life for me.
So this, like, yeah, I don't know if there's any more reading stuff.
Yeah. I'm glad you brought this. I'm glad you brought this. This is good to hear.
What's worse? Somebody saying that they think COVID is bullshit, or that? I mean, that's like fully produced. The intensity of it, the emotions of it. I mean, it just sucks you into this guy's story and into this whole false narrative, and it's completely made up.
Well,
and then then you
let me give this a stab.
But it's still on Spotify.
Yeah. Okay, so the New York Times, who, in my opinion, print the mainstream medical narrative as determined by the pharmaceutical industry, who have put us in a biosecurity state. That is their job, and they cannot be discredited. If they are discredited as being full of crap and very good at fear porn and death porn and gore porn, then they will be no longer credible, because it's the New York Times and the Washington Post that everything is funneled through. Every story. I mean, you have to believe, as I do, that pretty much everything you read needs to be questioned, and certainly when it comes to COVID. So they cannot be discredited, and so they take away the award and a couple other things. But from what I'm reading, there was some actual coercion to tell people to shut up about it inside the Daily group.
I know like some public radio stations are now taking them off of their stations.
Yes. So this is, in my mind, a great thing. Forget justice. There's no justice in who's deplatformed or not. I'm not interested anymore, personally. This is a bug in the system. Just like, the internet was obviously architected to be an autonomous thing that could survive a large-scale physical destruction and would continue to function and routing, etc., which is really what everything we're doing is based on, can be kind of either repaired quickly, some of it's automatic. And that was why the U.S. military concepted it, and probably for a lot of other reasons we're now starting to understand. So just like that layer, the layer on top, for me personally, if you take ego out of it, because people are stuck in an Instagram ego world of likes and etc. But if I want my voice to be heard, for anyone who's interested, I have alternatives to the social media companies. Search is a little different. Search is harder, but for the stuff that I really need, mainly I can get from our own search, which has been put together collaboratively. So it's just a bug. You just route around it. All these things are bugs. And Spotify is just a bug. It really does. It doesn't matter. Spotify is not keeping Joe Rogan's secret. I mean, how many times do we have to delete a rogue feed in the index? Or how many other proxies and websites? It's a bug. It's just, if people want it, they're going to get it. So it's much easier to work directly with what people want, give that to them, and try and base it on things that give everybody a stake in it and everybody some responsibility. And I'm going to sound like a broken record for the rest of my life, but I really think that, particularly with Lightning, the idea that you can decentralize all forms of communication, money just being one of them, but that it comes with a network transfer associated costs, is very appealing.
Well, they're going at the magical they.
Mm-hmm.
They are going. Whoever they is going. They're going after Bitcoin. It may be starting now.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. They are.
was it the Yahoo came out with a story, large Bitcoin payments to right-wing activists 1 month before Capitol riot.
Yes, no, of course. So be that what it may, I mean, they've been saying that about crypto and Bitcoin for 10 years and it's still here. So,
right. Yeah.
Who knows? Who knows? Possibly. Okay, we'll see. But what blows me away,
I guess I would say is I don't think the Bitcoin guys maybe are prepared for the heat that they're going to get.
I think they are. And
you do? Okay.
Yes. So what I see is, let's just call it, the people that I've interacted with on our project are 25 to 30 years old, predominantly men. I don't know why, but it seems to be male oriented, and they have their Bitcoin and they have their Lightning, and they are disillusioned by what they've grown up in so far. Being a second grader at 9/11 and everything that's happened since then. And they believe that through success of adoption, they will win. On the other side, you have the central bankers, governments, all corporations, and an army to back up their claims. And an army, right?
Which cannot be discounted, by the way.
No, you cannot discount the guns part. Yeah. But this is the moment, and this goes for. Let me just. I'm trying to get this all out. It's fresh in my mind, but to me, a lot of things have fallen into place. So there's this little spat going back and forth about what Rob Greenlee did or didn't say about supporting Podcast Index and the namespace. You know what? Actually, hold on a second. We should do this properly. Let's get into it.
Now it's time for some hot namespace.
Yeah, we got mud wrestling in the namespace hot talk corner today, ladies and gentlemen.
Let me get my cigarettes.
So it is, to me, it is completely irrelevant who supports the tags, who doesn't support the tags. There is a movement underway that is bigger than those discussions. And the adoption is coming very, very fast. And you're seeing it pop up on the Mastodon. You're seeing IPFS coming back again. You're seeing how gateways can be utilized. You're looking at people who are very serious and have some experience in distributed systems. My personal mission is to introduce the Lightning Network into that, because I believe that idea can solve so many things. And it is just a way to route, and I'm not looking at it as money, really. It's a utility. When you look at the micro payments that we're talking about, small, a tenth of a penny, but that will guarantee that you can get something from A to B, and there's a record of it, and everybody can see it, and thus you're also recording history, which is a whole nother thing philosophically we can talk about. This is very, very powerful. There's a log of transactions out there that can contain a payload, and the concept of blockchain is the more payload you utilize, the more you pay. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's literally about size. So it's a very fair system, and it will work and it works today. I mean, in every Lightning node wallet manager doohickey, there's a chat function.
Yeah. Yeah.
You can chat with someone else who has a node. It's universal. It's mind blowing. And it's synced and it's timed, and you know when it occurred, and you know which IDs participated in it, and you can build huge applications on top of that.
And it's backed by Bitcoin, which is currently undergirded by, oh my God, how much processing power is there now? It's ungodly how many, like just that place you went to in Austin.
Yeah,
or I guess it's near you. I mean,
60,000 Bitmain machines running in a shed. Yeah,
and that's just like 1% of the network, probably.
Yeah,
it's so distributed. Yep. That's everything can be taken down. Anything can be taken down. If you don't believe that, I mean, because let's just say they wanted to take the Bitcoin network down. They could do it. They could do it. They just cross the cross border at the edge of country borders of internet service backbones. They just put in an application layer, layer 3 or 4, and they just block it, and it can be done. But if you want to go, so everything can be blocked. Ultimately, there has to be some realization of that. But then you also have to think, well, that requires a global coordinated effort. And the only couple of times in the past that there has been a truly global coordinated effort, were 2 world wars. So maybe,
right.
If it comes to that point, we probably have bigger issues, or maybe that's at the root of bigger consequences that we're going to face.
Okay, so in my mind, the beauty of, and I like Bitcoin I just want to focus only on Bitcoin. I think there's no company associated with it that's good enough for me. That gives it more chance than most. No more coins can be created, and it's a simple, inefficient system for what we want to do. But the second layer, which is of which Lightning Network is an example, seems to be very, very functional. The beauty of so I just can't work forward in my life with anything by saying they might take it down or it's useless. So fine, that may be. That's just not how I work. I just go ahead. But I may be totally wrong. And that's why namespace arguments about who supports tags. Hey, we may be totally wrong. See you later. You catch up, and but we really, really hope to have everybody on board. But that only means that we can drive it, and we don't drive it. App developers drive it with the people who use their apps. That is the bottom line. That is it. Yes, of course, the content is important, but as you see, you can't. Back to what Citigroup says. Looks like just buying content isn't the only way you have to go if you want to capture this market.
Yeah, well, that was one of the things you said at the very beginning when we first started this thing. Is you convinced me that apps that's where podcasting lives and dies by the apps. That's where everything starts.
That's today's consumer. And I prefer to look at people who I listen to me as interactive on it. But the mainstream in general looks at people as consumers. They don't see really the difference between 2 apps. Okay, it's a red app for Netflix. It's a smiley face app for Amazon Music. It's Spotify is this app. And then I have this app. It's apps. They don't really feel the hugeness of what's behind it. A very small company can make a big impact. They don't know anymore. They do know it's annoying that everyone has different rules and you have to do different things and you have different billing cycles. My point about working with Bitcoin, and specifically the Lightning Network, is that our work makes it more valuable just by us doing it.
Oh, okay, yeah.
The more people use it, even though it will not be measurable necessarily, I think we already measure some. We'll do maybe an update, but Sphinx has been looking at how to scale. Sphinx Chat, who was the first ones to implement the value block and real-time streaming payments in the value for value philosophy. They had an issue scaling. They had that issue because of podcasting. Because of that, now Lightning Labs has decided that a few tweaks, and I'm not sure if it's something that goes all the way down the line or can be done individually, but they have re-architected how nodes work to provide for virtual nodes. So very much like, now I only have one node with one node address, but I can have 100 of my friends, or maybe 1,000, or I don't know, it could be a business with virtual nodes that you, in effect, if you have the node, your public key and your seed, you can get even back what you might have otherwise lost in a channel. All that's technical, doesn't matter. Podcasting has moved that forward. We have had that impact
already.
That's mind-boggling to me.
Yeah.
And so things are changing, and we're doing it. And ultimately that will have a response if people use it. You know, I don't know what money is anymore. I'm not quite sure, but I see value in something and it goes up and I can exchange it over here. I don't really get it anymore, but I can see that if we put the energy into it, and that's really what Bitcoin is storing energy. If we put energy into it, I think it will move the value of everything forward and everybody should be able to win. But more importantly, it's everybody. And the sooner we get over it has to be free, people will never do that. Okay, we'll keep pushing.
By the way, I'm glad you mentioned Lightning Labs, because if you want to see diversity, look at their executive leadership. Yeah. I mean, that is it looks like the centerfold of a Richard Scarry book. I mean, it's like
a Benetton commercial.
Yeah, it is. I mean, it's got every, nationality and gender and everything you could want on the board. I mean, like technology does not, I guess the reason I was impressed by that is because when you combine freedom, like true freedom with money, diversity follows that.
Yes.
Diversity follows freedom. It does not follow oppression and control.
No, you're so right.
And you throw some money in there, and then you're talking, some serious diversity, because everybody likes money.
And it's kind of interesting. The universal, again, I've just been interacting with so many people who are developing. It's a small group, really, when it comes to the Lightning Network. It's also inherently apolitical. The only politics is freedom. The only politics is freedom, and that's not America First, MAGA. It's none of that. It's just freedom. It's just freedom. I want freedom. 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 Where is our future president? Hold on. Where is she? Where's our future president? Here she is.
Freedom.
By the way, you texted me. I don't know why this. You texted me and said, "Is it just me and you on the pod today?"
Yeah. Oh, excuse me.
That's a yellow card violation right there.
Uppercase. I could have done it in quotes. If you can't beat him, join him.
No, that is a yellow card right there. That's not acceptable.
So,
I did notice though that GitHub, I think maybe Brown of London posted it. GitHub now says you can run a few commands and change the name of your branch from master branch to main.
Oh yeah, of course. Yeah, some of that shit's creeping in there.
Well, the only reason I bring that up is not. I don't really care. I think it's fine if they want to do that. They can do whatever they want, and I don't have a problem with it. But it struck me really on a different note, is that that's a good example of language sort of losing its context, because
yes, absolutely. How about master bedroom is also being changed for the same reason?
Oh, is it? Oh, yes. I didn't know that. Okay.
Yeah, the National Association of Realtors, they've got all these crazy rules in place.
Well, master, if you traditionally in a MySQL, in a SQL server context, you may have a hard drives or anything like this in technology. You have a master and a slave.
Yeah, it shows a dominance position.
Right. Now, I can see changing that terminology, and I have no problem with that. I think it's fine, primary, secondary, or whatever. But the problem I have here though is that master is not always ordinal. Master is a word that means other things, like you can master a skill. Mm-hmm. Or, you can, like the idea of a master branch is not inherent. It's not inherent in a master branch to have a slave branch.
Right.
But it just means in that context, it just means that that's the one that everybody is supposed to use because it's considered to be the best. And the option, there's no, some of this stuff is, like I said, I have no problem with changing master slave. I actually think that's probably a good idea. But you got to be careful when you're since language is so critical to understanding things. If we're changing things because it reminds us of something hurtful, then if you, in this context, you're going to lose, like, what do you, this is not that. I know I'm being confusing here, like, but master in this context is not a master-slave relationship.
Yeah, but, okay.
It just means first. It just means, like, it means primary.
I understand. The point is, why does this have to happen? And you kind of touched on it. People who are over-socialized get triggered by shit like this. The problem is not with the words. It's the problem with people who have decided or who have authority over the usage of these words, that it triggers them. It doesn't trigger me. It, good or bad. I'm like, oh, that's horrible slavery, or, oh, I love having some slavery stuff in there. No, neither way. So the context is, it's people forcing their own contextualization on others.
Yeah, and I think that's what the ACLU
and fear, Dave, fear. People being afraid to say, well, that's dumb. Oh, you have white guilt, white privilege. Yeah, come on, this is. I have no patience for that. The only truth is in numbers, and therefore the only record of truth is the blockchain. Whoa, orange pill.
Orange pill.
Hey, we're burying the lead.
Yeah, what's the lead?
The API you're working on,
which is
LNPay.
Oh. Yeah, but we changed our strategy on that. Like I'm not baking that in anymore, right? We're doing that with we're taking a different route.
What are we doing?
Well, you mean like because we talked about not brokering it or whatever, and just let we're trying. We've been. But we're still
gonna hand off the splits, right?
Yeah. So definitely that.
Yeah, but no one knows what we're talking about. My point would be, hello, app developers. This is what I mean by burying the lead. You remember all that sexy stuff we showed you with Sphinx Chat, with sending Satoshis per minute? We're about to give you a way to put that in your existing app.
Yep. Okay, so if nobody knows what LNPay is...
No one knows what that is. No one cares. What are we doing? Are we going to enable these developers to be able to send money with every minute?
Yeah. Well, I guess a minute. I don't know about minute.
Okay.
I don't know if we can handle that, but we can on an interval. Yeah, sure. Like, so LNPay is this API that a guy named Tim manages, or he wrote it, and it allows you to just spin up wallets, Lightning wallets, and he's got key send, outbound. And it's a super simple API. So the way it works is you just you get keys from him, and you can spin up. And these are custodial wallets, so you just got to know that you would spin up a wallet. It's basically one command through the API. It's I think it's just wallet /wallet API v1 /wallet. I think so. You just create a wallet with a REST call. And then it hands you back the wallet ID and 3 access keys. And the 3 access keys are 3 different permission levels.
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah, sure.
Can you for me really? Can you describe how the system works, but not from the technical level, just the flow? So we understand that first, and then we understand how it works. Because this to me is extremely exciting, but I want people to understand who have no idea what you just said.
Okay, so you're talking about like the flow from
the experience,
including us and all that jazz.
Yeah, but also just so the user has an app.
Oh, okay. See, that is me just being full nerd. Not
I know, and I love you. I love you for it. I mean, you're dreaming up this too, man. This is not my dream. This is you and me banging this shit out for hours on end.
Okay, so here's the flow. Imagine you're
in a world where you want to send money to your favorite podcaster.
So you're in an app, and you pull it up on your phone, and it's the first time you've used it.
What's your existing app?
Okay, yes, your existing
Please,
app.
it's your own app.
Okay.
No new app. You can keep your doctor.
You can keep your doctor. Okay, so you can keep your app and your app developer.
Yes,
and
you keep your app developer. That's it.
You can keep. So your app developer releases a new version of Pod Pal, and that's to use a
generic
Pod. Yes,
Pal.
Pod Buddy. Okay, Pod Buddy.
Yeah.
Okay, so Pod Buddy is a new version that's released, and it now supports Podcasting 2.0 payments. And the first thing that happens is it pops up and says, "Hey, you can now pay your favorite podcaster. Do you want to do that?" And you say, "Yeah, hell yeah, I want to do that." You hit go, and it says, "All right, I just spun you up a wallet, and here's
a podcast wallet,
a podcast wallet." And then you say, "Okay, great." And then it gives you a QR code, which the QR code is an invoice for where to send some Bitcoin in order to deposit money into your podcast wallet. So you flip over to something like Strike, or Breeze, or another podcast another Lightning wallet that you've got funds in, and you paste that QR in there, and it fires off. Let's just say you chose $20. It fires off $20 to your podcast wallet. Your podcast app now shows that you have a $20 balance in your wallet. And then it says, okay, who do you want to support? Which podcast do you want to support? And you say, Pod News.
Hold on. Where did this step come from?
Which, what
podcast do you want to support? I thought it was per podcast, you can set a value per minute.
Yeah. So like, which one do you want to pay? Which ones do you want to pay? Because some you may have in your podcast app that you don't care anything about.
Okay. Is this a step we hadn't had before? I personally, I would rather have the default be at some low number, let's say 10 Satoshis a minute, which you are asked to configure to your value, which is adjustable per podcast. Mm-hmm. So that everyone has it. And by the way, if that podcaster doesn't have a podcaster wallet, you don't lose any money. It just doesn't get sent. Or you can set it to 0. I just find the idea of which one do you want to support. No, I think you're either in on the game or not.
So you're saying
we don't have that step right now.
Yeah, but they all default to 0, right? In Sphinx. When I join a new tribe, it's 0. I have to go set it.
Right. Okay. Well, that's different than saying which one do you want to support. It's fine if it's set at 0. That's fine. It's set at 0. In fact, I like that better. It's set at 0, and then when you go to listen to a podcast, it'll either remind you, ask you, or some tickler that will say you're set at a number, 0 sats, so that you are asked to configure that. Okay, that's better than tick boxes. I'll support these, and then I put the value in. I think that's missing out. Just from a user experience, I think let's set it at 0. That's fine as the default. But
the app has to have some way of telling you that you're a douche, though. Like,
you're ahead of the game. Let's get them to pay first. Then we'll get the douche nudge flag. We'll get that.
So you now have a wallet with $20 in it, and the app knows that you have a wallet with $20 in it because it has the linkage to the app to the wallet. So now your podcast app, as you listen to podcasts, it is now streaming key send payments at the rate that you chose, at the amount of sats that you chose, automatically. And then when your balance is 0, it pops up the douche flag or the douche nudge, and it says, hey, you're out of money. Do you want to refill your wallet? And you say, yeah, and it pops up another QR, and you go and you fill it back up.
And you mentioned Strike, which is kind of cool because Strike, I will describe that very easily, is Venmo for Bitcoin. You hook it up to your bank account. the exact same way with the exact same system that Venmo uses, which I'm not a fan of, but I'm just saying it's out there. And then when you connect, you can, with Strike, I believe, you'll be able to connect your wallet to Strike when we integrate with them. So your payments can go directly from your bank account. You don't even have to put it into a wallet first. But in initial instance, Strike is a really easy way to just top up your podcast wallet.
Yeah, it's the way that I do. It's the way that I top up my Sphinx wallet right now. Yeah. I don't know if you do it that way too.
No, I just send it from my own node.
Oh yeah, okay, that's right. Well, I put.
I mean, I'm already living in the Bitcoin world. It's like I'm buying and selling stuff in Bitcoin and Lightning.
Well, so the way I do it is I have my debit card linked to my Strike account, and so I just buy $50 worth of Bitcoin every so often.
And just shove it right in there,
and then I just pay it with an invoice straight to my Sphinx node, and there's no fees.
Right. So, and what I like doing is just calling these things like podcast wallet and call it payments. And, you know, I'm not a jihadist when it comes to calling it Satoshis and Bitcoin. In fact, my friend, the former New York banker who hates Bitcoin with a passion because he sees the men with the beards and the vision and the passion, and he's on the central bank and gun side. Even he says, what you're doing here is revolutionary, and as long as I don't have to hear the word Bitcoin all the time, he says, if it's like, get this thing and top it up over here, so get your Strike and top up your podcast wallet, and maybe for him, we just keep it all in dollars. Of course, people will eventually have to learn Satoshis, but for me, it's like baby steps. You know, I don't have any religion about that, and just call it dollars for all I care. Show both. Okay, I'm sorry I interrupted you, but this is good because we're hammering out the last bits of the flow.
No, that's it. That's the story. That's the fairy tale.
And there will hopefully be your favorite podcast app may also have a boost functionality. So if you want to send an extra amount of payment, like boom, that was so funny, and it'll be and then we can get in all the beautiful features where that's time coded and podcasters can understand it. Okay.
Well, so now the technical side of that.
Now that sounded pretty easy, Dave.
It did, Adam. It is easy. We need some non-offensive venture capital pitch music behind that.
Let me say one other thing. We've had ongoing conversations with some of the smartest people in this industry. It's Tim at LMPay, it's Wayne and Buck, it's Ryan, it's Paul and Evan. I mean, and these are super smart people who have been down many of these roads. And yes, we understand that we are talking about a custodial based wallet system. We understand all of the possible issues. What we're not going to do is pull a podcaster, pull a podcast industry and chat about it forever. If we fail, we fail. We'll push. Something will change. Someone will have a better idea. We're small and we're flexible. So not overlooking all kinds of security issues, which are actually quite small, but of course there's some trust issues that may or may not be solvable. But we're just moving forward to get it done. And I think everybody is saying, hey, this is pretty good, particularly in light of the infrastructure changes that are coming that will make it much more efficient and cost effective for people to have just a virtual node that they can share the cost with other people, which would bring it down to a penny a month, maybe. But also opens up opportunity for larger systems who can make money providing these services. So everybody can make money. Can receive value would be more fair to say.
Yeah, and so we're an example of that too. So we would make money off that by providing an API for the value blocks, and here's the issue with the value block in the XML space is the right way to go. It specifies in an open way that everybody can see the payment addresses. It says, here's the people that need to get paid as people listen to this podcast. That is the correct, open, transparent way to do it. Now, translating that into the technical back and forth between an app and the API or whatever they're doing, that can get sketchy. So if you have, let's just say that PodBuddy is, gets let's just say they get compromised. Well, then now they can all of a sudden drain everybody's wallet to some unknown Bitcoin address. So the danger is giving the app too much power. And that's what we have gone back and forth on is how much, putting it in the XML again is the right thing to do, but it's step 2 that gets tricky. So if you just say, well, okay, apps, all these apps, here's an API that allows you to send your customers funds anywhere you want. That's sketchy. But at the same time, if we interject ourselves into the middle of that and say, well, okay, why don't you send, because this is one thing we thought of. We thought, well, the way to solve that issue is what we'll do is we'll say, we'll build the API for the Lightning, and then we'll say, okay, the app can tell us that they want to send a payment. We'll double check with the feed and see where the value block splits are, and we'll send the payment for them. But now you have a real central point of failure, and you have us having to deal with all the headache of being a money, broker and all. It's like, no. We're just like, no, that's just too much. So the sort of what we're settling on right now is there's LNPay is this API that is out there and available. And one thing we can do is be a sort of trusted party in that transaction, to where we can say, okay, you're going to send payments to these recipients, but you'll need to get the feed splits from us. And so we're still trying to figure out exactly what that looks like. But that the bottom line is there. We're trying to figure out some way if we can get some like a receipt or something that shows that the payments went to the right place. Right.
So the way this is what the index really does at its core is routing and resolution. So the podcaster always has control at the core base level over what their payment split is, how many different people, what percentages go to each one, or entities, because it's just a node. So they have ultimate control. Value proposition number 1 for the index is what we already do for the next generation of apps, is we provide a shortcut to aggregating all that stuff. And that is an obvious advantage, but also an obvious disadvantage, which we know has to be solved. Right now, you can get a dump of the database, and someone could resurrect us if we fell down. At least there's that, but that's obviously not the best way to go. But we know that for efficiency's sake and for the type of developer that we have, and it's like, you can do it off of Apple, you can do it off of us. Everyone has problems. Yeah, but yeah. You have a lot more influence over here. The second part is making it drop dead simple for app developers to implement this, that you really only have to focus on what the API is asking. You shouldn't have to store user accounts and all kinds of things you would be thinking of. I believe to have a central authority, because I see these payments not as payments. I see the split as the future of a royalty system. And it kind of fell into our lap, but this is extremely important for value flow in future creative and current creative endeavors. So for royalties of payments in the in today's world, we have the antiquated. Music is easier to explain, but you have ASCAP BMI, and for actors you have AFTRA. Maybe that's another way to look at it. And so these are huge nonprofits with hundreds of millions of dollars running through them, huge overhead, when really all they have to do is figure out how many people enjoyed a piece of entertainment and what people in that piece of entertainment are supposed to get a piece of the money that was raised for that human being to enjoy it, and then send it all the way down the line back to the creator, which, as you know, rarely happens that way. And it takes, 24 to 36 months. This is why musicians are always in debt to their record company, because they get an advance until the money comes in. So I'm simplifying it, but that piece needs to be trusted. And I want us to be that trusted piece. And I want to do that with truth in numbers and mathematical numbers. So to be able, so we can prove that this is the intended. And it's important because people's money depends on this. It's tenths of a cent now, but who knows? So this is the intended split. And I think down the line, there will be multi-sig agreements for projects where that split may not be changeable unless multiple signatories agree to change that. I mean, I can see all this coming. I can see it as clear as day. So that money has to be distributed. And so we need to make sure that there's agreement amongst the parties ultimately who are part of the split, as well as that was paid. And today we will be able to manage here's the 3, 4, 5 different addresses that are getting this payment. Of course, it's split up into 5 payments, and what percentages. And then please send us the receipt so we can match that with the chain so everybody knows this payment took place. It went to, now you can call it tracking or just receipts, because we of course don't really know who that node is. No one has all the pieces, but everybody should get the main receipt all the way around, and we can say, okay, paid.
Yeah. Well, and so the other aspect of that, and is sort of where this is going, is because we're going to be sort of a trusted verifier of this stuff, is there's probably going to be another permission key level in the API.
Yes.
So
we will have to have a known relationship with our
app,
our app developers. Yeah, of course. And they want it too, because, and as an addition, and I'm just putting these rules in place, and we can always argue about it later. But for the service, the index will add our node for 1%, and we'll add the app that the request is coming from for 1%. And we'll just be, I'm not ashamed to say that. That's the whole point. And which is also key for the payment, so we need to know which the apps themselves need to be able to feed that back to the podcaster.
Well, because we were talking to Tim, and we're at LNPay, and we're kind of bouncing ideas back and forth of how can we make this work, because the ecosystem's open and all that kind of stuff. But how can we make this where everything is transparent? Because we've said from day one, the app needs to get paid, the podcaster needs to get paid, and everybody down the chain, we want to get paid too. All this stuff needs to happen. Everybody in the chain needs to get paid. But really, ground zero is the app. Mm-hmm. The app developers need to get paid. If Pocket Cast integrated this, they wouldn't be going broke right now.
Exactly. Now, they also wouldn't need that many people, believe it or not. You need a whole 2 people to manage your venture capital people.
But it's got to be transparent, and that's the deal. You can't. It has to be transparent to where, what's in the feed is one guy, one woman who says, I'm the creator, I'm the host of the podcast, and here's my node ID. That's what's in the XML. But then at some point, perhaps the hosting company, perhaps a directory like us, and for sure the app, each one of those is going to take 1%. And so that 1% though that activity needs to be transparent. It can't be that people are just silently sucking money out everywhere. That it has to be known. And so that's what we're talking to Tim about. And that would be where this stuff kind of comes into play, where we're going to say, okay, we're going to hand the splits back, but only to known apps. So like what that would look like for somebody like, Podstation is you would just go in there and just like you would ask for a read write permission, you would just go in there and ask for a, some other thing. I don't know what it'd be called, but you ask for some other permission level on your API key.
Value payments.
Value payments. Yeah. Okay.
Value payments.
And then you ask for that permission level, and then it just comes to us to approve it. And we have to make sure, I get tons of approval requests for write permission API keys that I just throw in the trash because I have no idea who you are. It's just some random Gmail address, and I'm not. And if you, I just trash it. And then if you come back to me and send me an email and say, hey, here's what I'm doing. I would like a read write permission key for my app, and it's called this. Then I'll say, yeah, absolutely. I'll approve it right then. But it'll be the same way with this. It'll be, you ask for a different permission level in the key. If we know who you are, you're trusted, all that kind of jazz, that gets approved, you're good to go.
And along with this, comes another piece that Podcast Index is doing for you that you don't know, people listening, and we haven't seen, but I know it's happening. In the background, we have a third member of this team, Eric, and he is doing all of this regulatory, taxation, how do we report? He's working on all these things from a back office perspective. He's doing it for us, for the index, but he's really doing it for everybody. And so that piece is also being worked on in a real time manner. Like, okay, where are the pitfalls? How do you treat this? So we're not just like cowboys.
Yeah,
we got a chuck wagon back there. It's a few miles back, but the chuck wagon's coming up.
Yeah, Eric's been doing a ton of work on that because this is really a new paradigm. I mean, like this is a new market, and he's had to do a lot of research to figure out if what's okay and what's not. Mm-hmm. And that is going to be valuable to apps that choose to participate in this,
so that we can also all have some level of protection.
Yeah,
understand what agreements need to be in place, and it's not crazy stuff. You know what it's going to be. Ultimately, it's a box that says terms of service, a lot of all caps and some small ones. You click OK, and then we're all screwed. We all get sued by Amazon.
Well, the other part of it, the biggest reason why this is an issue is not for the guy who has $20 in a wallet. It's that there's people out there that will put 10 grand in a wallet.
Right.
And that's a big deal. I mean, if I put, $10 in some Lightning wallet, and the Lightning wallet screws up and I lose it, I mean, it's okay. I'll skip lunch one day. But I mean, there are going to be people who send podcasts $20 a minute.
Yes.
I mean,
yes,
that's
absolutely.
Gonna happen.
Absolutely. And so along with this comes education. You've probably seen the stories crop up. It always happens when Bitcoin has a rally. Guy has $200 million worth of Bitcoin, lost the password. So yes, you do have responsibility. There is no help desk for Bitcoin. So you need to learn. And it's really, once you learn, it's quite simple. But even to this day, I'm still like, am I doing it right? Because I know that, it's not hard to do. But if you don't have some simple backup things, which most people are bad at, then you could lose money. But it's a great way to learn how to use it. And our same system will function in the architecture of tomorrow, which is these virtual nodes, which will have a much safer proposition for someone putting more money on that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it goes back to it's so exciting because it goes back to something that I mentioned before, where Anita Posh on her show had interviewed that guy from Africa who had been deplatformed off YouTube and Twitter. Mm-hmm. I mean, like, that's a perfect use case for this. It's perfect. I mean, here's a guy from a third world country who can make a podcast and make money.
Yeah.
And it's international. It's diverse. It's all the things we want.
Yeah. Yeah, it really
and
is.
It's facilitated by clean, free money.
Or value, whatever you want to call it.
Value,
Yes.
Yeah.
And it's been such an exploratory road that we've gone down to figure all this out, and we've hit many dark corners. We're like, we might as well back out of this one. This is not so good.
Yeah.
Hit a lot of that. But I am so excited because this will allow us to at least test the scale. Because the scale is really very different at doing it this way, without the full node. So we can really test a couple of bigger shows, get some scale. But most importantly, I think it will be, for many of the devs, it will be relatively easy to incorporate this and really have the ability to spend more time on how do you want to present this, and what's your UX. UX. What's your user experience? And you all have different ideas, and I love all the different user experience ideas across the board on how people do chapters. It's not I don't like everything, but who gives a shit? Someone else does. Perfect. That's good. That's diversity. Diversity in code is important too in that manner.
Just like everything else, and just like everything else we're doing with the namespace and all this stuff, with the namespace it's open. If you don't want to use podcast index, you don't have to. You can read the XML directly, and you can just say, screw you guys. Yeah. And that's fine. And it still works just like it always does. That's fine. But that's the money issue has to be treated carefully. And so,
well, you need some, right now, we still do need some authority because we just don't have supercomputers in our pockets yet. Yeah, they're fast, but they can't index 1.5 million feeds and maintain everything. It's slow and laborious. And I have no doubt the whole podcast index project one day will fit on a USB stick. Yeah. Why not?
On your 50 terabyte USB stick.
What do you? Hey, that's so 2000, Dave Jones. My petabyte stick is way beyond your terabyte stick.
Your petabyte stick. Show title. That. By the way, I have the perfect name for your future dog.
Oh! Okay, yes, this is Tina and I are now officially empty nesters. We have no kids even living in the state, and so we're thinking about a dog.
Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Buck Owens.
So we got
Tell
Paul.
Me that is not a
So we're going to have two dogs. One is Paul Anka and the other is Buck Owens.
Yeah.
Beady.
But,
wasn't that the little robot on Buck Owens?
No, you're thinking of Buck Rogers. Buck Owens, the country singer.
I like Buck Rogers better now all of a sudden. I don't know what's wrong with me.
No, Buck Owens, the country singer from Hee Haw. That had from Bakersville.
No, I grew up in Amsterdam, man. I was smoking weed. I wasn't watching Hee Haw. We were making our own Hee Haw.
He's the guy with the red, white, and blue guitar. The USA guitar.
No, we never. That's not my. No, I didn't get that. It was just the wrong age. I was growing up somewhere else with no television or government-controlled television.
I'm depressed now. I thought that was a beautiful name.
I'm sorry to disappoint.
I
still like DOG. Everyone seems to like DOG. DOG.
No.
DOG. I think I'm sticking with DOG.
That's it reminds you too much of that lame crypto coin that everybody
Dogecoin.
Yeah, that thing.
Hey, speaking of crypto coins.
Yeah.
Can we thank a few people for supporting the project before the Satoshis are really flowing?
Yeah. Let's do it.
This is a value for value. Well, the whole show has been a lot about value for value. You heard what it costs. There's real money involved. Dave and I not taking any salary, nor is Eric. We hope that we can get value in the future, but to get it going, to grease the machine, everything does need to keep running. And I can see a future where we might have to pre-fund some channels and liquidity things on the chain level. There's a lot of things that we can do. Just the fact that I've been able to offer, in some cases, some of our, and I'll call them loosely named partners, like, hey, do you need us to chip in and help you with that? And the answer has been no, but it's been very powerful to be able to say that. Yeah. Very, very powerful. And even, I've asked other people, yeah, we'll pay you for this. No, I don't want any money. That's your time, talent, and treasure. That is what Value for Value is driven on. If there's any value you get out of the show and out of the project itself, podcastindex.org, please help us by going to podcastindex.org. We take the cuck bucks through PayPal. So look for the big red donate button, but we have a lightning invoice system on there. That all of that needs to be upgraded, and hopefully one day we can do away with it, and we'll just be part of the value flow. That would be the ultimate way to go. And we love thanking people who are participating in the project, who are certainly helping us with their treasure.
That starts with Ben from our buddies at rss.com.
Yeah, they donated not too long ago.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. They chipped in for Christmas, for New Year's, but they gave us $500.
Holy crap!
Yeah.
Really?
Dave and Adam, thanks again for all your hard work from your friends and admirers at rss.com. And we're going to have them. They're going to be on the podcast with us 2 weeks from now.
Oh, excellent. Oh, I look forward to it.
Yeah, we've got...
what do they do again at rss.com so everybody knows?
Podcast host. Yeah. They're a podcast host. And they've been really kind to us. They've sponsored us on Pod News. Man, they've just done so much. They've just been great. And,
they also have my favorite domain name.
rss.com.
Yeah, I mean, holy crap. That's so cool.
I want to hear the story about how they got there.
Yes, we can swap out some domain name stories, no doubt.
Yeah, we're going to have Blueberry. We're going to have Todd and Mike from Blueberry on next week, and then we'll have RSS.com.
Wow.
We'll have Ben on the week after that.
Wow. And don't we have David coming up from Hypercatcher and some other people?
Yeah, he'll be in the. I think he's the. David Norman's going to be on with us, I think, the second week of February. I'll have to look, or maybe the first week. I don't know. Nice. So thanks, Ben and the guys at rss.com. It says, this is a donation for, an anonymous donation for $200. Wow. Says, no credit is needed or wanted, just glad I can help.
Thank you very much, Anonymous.
Says, and not just a thought. He says just a thought does not need to be voiced on the show since it's a real downer. But I'll go ahead and voice it anyway. It says it does not need to be voiced. That doesn't mean it shan't be voiced.
Yes. The constitutional reading of the note.
Yes. I am for total free speech. Free speech says to me, from a summarized quote, I forgot who said it. I may disagree 100% of what you say, but I will defend to death your right to say it. Since Parler is being deplatformed from AWS hosting company and apps removed from Apple and Android, how can you stop this from happening to Podcast Index? Even if you were to host in another country, the IP addresses can be blocked and DNS entry can be taken over. Is this now a hopeless task to achieve your mission and goal? Adam?
I will take a stab at that. I don't know if I sent that to you, Dave, but there's a new domain naming protocol based on blockchain that has come out. I actually sent it to Void Zero, to Mark, because he's way into that stuff, DNSEC and all this. And he says, holy crap, this could be very useful. So that usually means he's going to dive in and he'll give me a full report later. But I hate to say it, it's that everyone has such passion for building these spaces for people to, convene, but ultimately it does not matter how good your intentions are. And this is for us too, by the way, how good your intentions are. It has to decentralize, and it's just a cycle. And I think with every cycle, we're seeing more and more where that has to go. And the companies can charge people fairly, real money. It can be little bitty bits for the experience they provide, but I think the future will all be on top of, now I hope it's Lightning. It may be something else. I mean, I'm, again, not religious about it, but I'm putting my eggs in that basket. All of these, right now, today, with, I would say, minimal work, really, group chat, all of this can all be done. It's all there. It's just, what are the choices you make and what is the audience you're going after? If you're trying to build something where you go, I mean, the business models don't work. None of them do. You can't have advertising. It has to be some part of networked effect. And I just see no other way than the truth, which is a blockchain. It has the truth of who said what, when, where, and how you connect it. Am I boring now?
No, advertising is censorship. It just goes back to that same idea.
And also, if you have to pay something, especially if it's really, really small, the psychological effect makes you much more efficient at what the hell you're doing. Yeah, people won't just vomit all the time. Blah, with words.
Thank you, Anonymous.
Thank you, Anonymous. Does that answer your question, Anonymous? All right, who's next on the phone?
Let's see, Sir Pete for $43.21. A good numerological.
Is that Sir Pete Snakes?
It just says Sir Pete.
Sir Pete.
So I don't know.
I think that's Sir Pete from the Netherlands, I believe. Don't know.
Okay. Thanks, gents. Sir Pete here. Like Adam introduced me to the term soundtrack of our lives.
Oh, yeah. This is Sir Pete. He goes back.
Oh, okay. I see so many applications of this giant leap podcasting is making. Among others, what I like to call the narrative of my life as Dave and Adam make me smarter and excited about podcasting and nerding out. Stephen Fry soothes me with his audiobooks. And the voices of Dvorak and Horowitz somehow are both a cure and entertainment in the financial markets.
Sure.
My remark for makers would be, consider the usage of podcasts. To me, listening to podcasts is about getting fitter and smarter. Listening to you brainiacs and moving about on bikes and in parks. So, no screen, no way to bookmark my audio life, and no way to stop and reward that golden insight. Also, I wonder, how can we make rewarding producers and makers alike easy and still control listener expenditure? Patreon doesn't work because it's too opaque. Digital currency is invisible, so who's making sure payment doesn't feel like a slot machine, but like appreciation for great products? Anyway, excuse my random thoughts. Bottom line, love the show and see a bright future for producers, makers, participants, and listeners alike. Keep it up. Now take my money. Kind regards, Sir Pete.
Wow, that's beautiful.
Yeah.
That's deep. Thanks, man. Sir Pete, thank you so much. Yeah, well, you what an appropriate note.
Yeah, perfect.
That's exactly what we're talking about.
Let's see. Yep. This one's not enough. Yeah, okay. This is Mike Dell. Yeah, Mike Dell from
Blueberry.
Blueberry.
Nice.
Yeah, Mike says
he's active on the Mastodon. I see him popping in all the time.
Yeah, he gave us $20 and he said keeping podcasting free, as in free speech, is going to get a lot more important in the next couple of years. Go podcasting.
What? Oh, wow. I wish you'd cued me in. I should have had that lined up. I should probably have this one in our...
in the rotation.
Yeah, here. Let's try it here. Here we go. Go podcasting!
You need to defragment Mike, too.
Oh, yes.
You've been defragmented.
There you go, Mike. I thought he had donated before, actually.
I don't think so. If he donated before, then that's a defragmenting for Sir Pete.
Yeah, Sir Pete, man.
All the way back up the chain.
Yeah.
Let's see. I appreciate it. I'm trying to make sure this is not anonymous. It's not. Okay. Rafael Negron he gave us $19.84. Sweet. 1984.
Nice.
I appreciate the ideas. This is an interesting note. I appreciate the ideas presented with James Cridlin about policing podcasting. You made it very clear that y'all are just about creating the infrastructure for free speech with podcasting 2.0, and that's it. We're all adults here with God-given free will, and we truly believe that the best way to kill a bad idea is with a better idea.
Yep.
Big tech should have really stopped itself when it decided to become the thought police and to protect us from fallacies, racism, and flat earthers. I appreciate what y'all are doing here, and I love the technical jargon, even though I barely know what is being talked about. Sexy Namespace Talk. Thank you for all the hard work and entertainment. Keep conquering the lame with the better. Oh, I like that.
Hey, I like these notes. This is good.
It's some good notes, man.
Yeah.
Conquer the lame with the better. I like that. Thank you for $19.84.
Yes, very Machiavellian there.
Raphael.
As well. Yeah, I love that.
And our last, yep, okay, he's good. Our last donation is from Christopher. Christopher Battles. He says, "Go podcasting. Thank you for your service, so more people have the ability to hit others in the mouth."
Go podcasting! There you go.
All right. That's our lineup, man. That's a good notes.
Yeah, great notes and super donations. Thank you all so much. And if we missed anybody, or sometimes these recurring donations come in, which are great for the server farm. Really, it's a server vegetable garden, I guess. Really, is it really a server farm?
It's a victory garden.
Hey, whatever happened to Farmville? Do people still play that?
Man, all that crap. I was watching it. I was rewatching the IT Crowd and that L show, and I was going back and watching it, and they were doing that, their mock show on Friend Face, the takeoff of Facebook. And
yes.
They were all into all the little games that you could play, and I guess all that stuff went away. Is that?
I have no idea. I don't know. Angry Birds.
I haven't logged into Facebook in over a year.
Oh no, it's been years and years for me.
Yeah, no, so I don't know if any of that crap even exists.
No, that was no time for that. So,
you got anything else?
Well, I'm very excited about where we're at, and I guess my question would be, thinking as a very, very impatient man, when
that's new for you.
I know, right?
Yeah.
When do you think we can have people start trying this payment system out? As in, when can developers do it? Put it in?
Yeah, well, LMPay is it's just a service. You can go mess with it
but that's not ever going to work. We need to present the payments thing and help people. We need a reference implementation. What do we do? This is your part of the partnership, Dave. Tell me what we're doing. When is it? Who's on first?
Well, I've worked out the Postman stuff for the API examples.
What does that mean?
Postman is a popular API tool that you run on your desktop. It's just you can just do API calls with it and save them, and it's a good way to test API calls and make sure they work, and then you can package them and distribute them.
Okay.
So that's how I was testing the API the other day, and I've got a couple of PHP functions that I can use to show you for example code.
That's what we need. We need a flow. What someone's like the value payment integration for poets. Did you choke on your coffee there?
Yeah, you got me. Yeah, it almost came out my nose. But so what I'd like to do is write all this up.
Yeah.
In a white paper or something, and then just like anybody who's interested, because there's some people, there's going to be podcast apps and developers that are not. There's going to be podcast developers that they're not interested in this. They're like,
no, they don't have to. That's fine.
I'm not interested in the money part. I don't want to fool with that. And so that's fine. But if you are interested, then what I think the best way to do it is just do like a Zoom or something, like just do a Zoom call and just kind of go over the way it works, because
do we have our side ready with feeding back? So I guess the pieces that are needed is, I presume, a separate API permission level. We talked about that.
Yeah.
And then we need to, so the apps, well, they also need to have wallets, which is minor detail. So we need to be able to complete some of the do we have all the pieces for handing back the split and being able to add in the app's ID as well?
Yeah, that's all there.
Well, the app I'm sorry, no one sent me the memo. Is someone?
That's always been there. That's been the change will be that we won't hand back the splits unless you have the other permission level.
Right, and we have the way to hand back the appropriate splits, and then I guess as you already announced, the work on Podcaster Wallet we got to do something with that to make it easy for podcasters to get going, because basically they're just going to need a wallet and the splits, right? They just need a place for it to go.
Yeah, and which will be LNPay, and I'll show everybody how to use that.
Now, will they from the get-go be able to put in a different node if they wish?
What do you mean a different node?
So podcaster, not the listener, the podcaster. So I'm saying a fresh podcaster shows up. I'm jumping the gun a little.
Okay.
I want to I want this for my podcast. Go to podcasterwallet.com. Do you have a wallet? No, you have one created. Click here to learn more about getting your own node and the advantages. Learn that on your own time.
Yeah. So the Podcaster Wallet site is it's a dumpster fire. It's a pile of garbage. Woo! I don't like it. It's something that we had to bake really quick in order to get Sphinx up and running. Yeah. But then Sphinx had scalability problems, so they couldn't fire up nodes, because the original intent there was that you would go to Podcaster Wallet, you would verify your podcast, which is
well, that process works. That part works. Sometimes
it works. That's the other part. Like James Cridlin had trouble because well, that's a whole different deal. I'm going to make that better. I'm going to fix it. This, like I say, it was all half-ass. So, you go through there and you just verify that you own the feed. And then the idea was that you can either put in your own node, and that works. You put in your own node ID,
right?
Or you could click a Sphinx link, and it would fire up a tribe for you and then hand us back your new node ID.
Right.
And that would go straight into index.
Right.
Because the value tag is not supported by any hosts yet. So you got to be able to have a way to get it in the index.
Right.
And by the way, that permission level for the API, that's open for anybody. You don't have to be a podcast app. So if a podcast host wants to use that, that's fine too. They can get it. We'll just have to ask for a different key. Not a different key, but a different. You'll just have to ask to have your API key upgraded. So that's available to anybody. But that was the original intent. But then the Sphinx link broke because they couldn't scale, because they were not able to spin up nodes. And so you would click the Sphinx link and it would just bomb.
Right.
So it didn't work. The whole idea didn't work. But so and then the podcasterwallet.com thing is purely for if you are the owner of a podcast.
Right. Exactly.
And so hopefully we're also working with Graham at Voltage. We're going to try to get some
good podcaster nodes. Yeah.
Yeah. And so we just want to have a couple of options for people to be able to spin up nodes if you're a podcast owner. And so then the LNPay, that's the podcaster side. The LNPay side is for the podcast app, and that's for the listener side.
Yeah.
And then, so anyway, this will hopefully, what I'm going to be doing over the next few weeks is trying to get all this stuff pulled together, and I'll just communicate with everybody on the Mastodon instance I'll just give everybody updates of what I'm doing. And then at some point I'll schedule, anybody who's interested, any of the podcast app developers, y'all can all just say, I'm interested, and we'll just do a big group Zoom call, and I'll just kind of run through everything and show how the flow works.
Oh my God, I'm tingling. I love this.
You running down your leg?
Yes, I'm Joe Biden.
No, that's running up your leg, right?
Oh.
Down or up?
Woo!
That's two different meanings.
That's your political humor for the show this week, ladies and gentlemen. All right.
Yeah. Anyway, that's what I think will happen. So.
That's all I got. I'm super pumped. I cannot wait. I'm so excited about this.
Yeah, and I'm pumped too, because I just think this, if people can get paid it just changes the whole. If people can get paid without advertising, it just changes the whole game.
And yes, it does. And the idea that, and this is why I've always tried to stick to that 1 minute, payment per minute. When you're looking at your wallet and you just see these, literal fractions of a penny, it doesn't matter. You see it come in, it's like, oh my God, someone's valuing this.
Yeah.
They're valuing it. And, and especially on in Sphinx chat, I get half of this, and I see payments come through like 7 sats, and it's like 20 sats sometimes, and the boosts are, whoa, that's bank right there.
Yeah.
More, I'll tell you, the more features you can build that let people boost, which is it could be 10,000 sats at one time, and people do all kinds of stuff. You have no idea how someone else values stuff. That's money in the bank for everybody.
Oh yeah, there's
that's crazy town when you see that happen. It's like, wow,
boom,
I just got $1. Like, hey,
Transisto, Transisto in the
Sphinx,
Sphinx?
Oh yeah, 3333.
Yeah, that guy's dropping 30,000 sats at a time, like boom, boom, boom.
Yeah, which is what 30,000 sats is $10.
Yeah, I mean, and he'll just hit it.
He'll hit 3-4 times. I know.
Yeah. I mean, and that's what I'm saying. That's what I was saying a while ago. I mean, there's going to be people that are going to drop big money into their wallets because they have the money and they want to support you.
Yes, yes. And there's a benefit when I'm supporting everything. I'm supporting I'm supporting the app, the index, maybe the host. I'm supporting this. Yep. Oh, yeah, it's great.
Is it wrong to think that how am I trying to say this? I just don't think that a podcaster should get paid without the app getting something.
Absolutely.
It's like,
it's our mission. We put the rules of the road in place. We get to determine, we're building the road. We get to determine it. If people want to build another road, okay, might be better. We'll see.
They have to be linked together.
Yeah. Otherwise, everybody goes away.
Yep.
I think people. The one thing, again, I just back to the beginning of the show. President Trump has shown people, intentionally or not, a lot of how the value proposition works. So many people now understand if it's for free, then you are the product. I think this is now regular parlance. People say this and they say, but now they're seeing the downside to that. And I'm very happy. I think really it's been a beautiful period for us. It's like, oh my goodness, look, do you see it now, people? Do you see where the answers are and aren't?
Yeah.
And people are, they go, oh, I'm going to Signal. Oh, that's not the answer either. So eventually they'll come in. And once we have Lightning Network running through some apps, then all the questions will be answered. How do we do a centralized chat? How do we do community chapters? All these questions will be answered.
And it's not a left-right thing because, I mean, we have short memories, but remember back in the 60s when everybody was protesting Vietnam?
Oh, yeah.
And the right was trying to shut the left down.
Shut the left down. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
And Matt Taibbi has a fantastic set of articles right now called Meet the Censored.
Yes.
Where he's chronicling people on the left that are being deplatformed.
Another guy.
I mean, go ahead.
No, please.
No, I was just saying, just like for every Alex Jones, there's somebody who is in the anti-Israeli occupation movement who's equally getting silenced.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So I'm full of passion for this.
Me too.
I really
Me
am.
too.
All right, Dave. Is everything done yet? Is it working?
No, but it's getting there. It'll be okay, baby.
I love doing this with you, Dave Jones. We have been preparing for this for 10 years.
Yes, we have.
Admit it. This is we knew one day we'd do something of meaning for more than just us.
Yeah. One day it feels good to have something that works that you don't have to spend 45 minutes explaining to somebody how to install it. That is a nice feeling.
All right, buddy. You have yourself a great weekend.
You too, man.
We're doing a call tomorrow, right?
We'll have to
do it. Yeah, right. Well, we'll get on the time. That's our actual quarterly meeting. That's all hush hush and secret. We don't talk about that in public. All right. That's it, everybody. Enjoy your weekend. Can't wait to get some sats flowing and crank up those value sliders. We'll see you next week right here on Podcasting 2.0.
You have been listening to Podcasting 2.0. Visit podcastindex.org for more information.
Podcasts are cool.